Imagine returning home from fighting a war, expecting your childhood town to welcome you back, only to find your family's land being bulldozed for a greedy mayor's profit. That's exactly what happened to John, a Navy sailor, and what he did next turned a small town upside down. If you love stories of injustice, cunning plans, and the sweetest revenge imaginable, hit that subscribe button now. Like this video, and buckle up. This isn't just a tale of a greedy mayor getting his comeuppance. It's a story of a man reclaiming what was stolen from him, piece by piece. Let's dive in. It was 1948. The world had just emerged from the shadows of the Second World War. Thousands of soldiers were coming home, filled with hope, ready to start families and leave the cramped chaos of the cities behind. A housing boom had exploded across the country. New roads, new neighborhoods, a surge of opportunity, and inevitably, a surge of corruption. My grandfather, known to the family simply as G, had been a pilot during the war. He returned to his hometown expecting the familiar sights and smells of his childhood. The sleepy streets, the farmhouses, the trees that had watched generations of families grow up. But stepping off the train in 1948, G was confronted with something unrecognizable. The town was alive. Fresh asphalt gleamed under the sun. Traffic lights blinked at intersections he didn't remember. New houses stretched farther than the eye could see, lined up like dominoes ready to topple into the horizon. He could barely find his way back to the family farm. Roads had been rerouted. Entire streets had been renamed. And then there it was. Right where his childhood friend John's tree farm had stood for generations, a new housing development was rising, chainsaws and bulldozers carving into land that wasn't theirs. G's first thought? Surely John must have agreed to sell. As the post-war boom, maybe they made him an offer too good to refuse. But that thought was quickly shattered during his welcome home dinner that evening. His great-grandmother, in that calm, knowing way only older family members have muttered something odd. "Oh, I just wish John was still alive to be here." G froze. The words didn't register immediately. Then it hit him. John was alive. He'd received a postcard from him just 4 days earlier. John was still in Hawaii, serving in the Navy. What had happened? While John was thousands of miles away in the Pacific Theater, tragedy struck at home. His father had suffered a stroke and passed away, and within a week, his mother followed, succumbing to what neighbors quietly whispered was a broken heart. But for reasons that would remain unclear, John had never been informed. And in the meantime, the town's mayor, seeing an opportunity, had greenlit construction on John's family land. It wasn't just some minor oversight. Over 20 homes were being built on the farm. G's stomach churned with rage. The thought of bulldozers tearing through the trees John's family had planted for decades made his blood boil. Without thinking, G raced to the telegraph office, pounding out a message to Hawaii that had to be delivered immediately. "John, your folks passed. Farm now being built on. Come quick, G." He had no idea if John would get the message in time, or if he'd even believe it. But John did get the message. The details are hazy, but G always swore that John returned faster than anyone thought humanly possible. He appeared back home in less than 4 days, a storm of fury and heartbreak. When John burst into the mayor's office, the scene was almost cinematic. Every face in the room froze. The desk clerk fumbled over papers and words, unable to respond to the living whirlwind of a man standing before them. And then the mayor himself appeared. He saw John and went white. His knees buckled just slightly before he sprinted back into his office and locked the door. It was almost comical. If it weren't so serious. John was done waiting. He knew talking to the mayor politely would get him nowhere. He took the only logical next step. He hired a lawyer in the next town over. What followed was 7 years of relentless legal warfare. 7 years of strategy, court dates, depositions, and the kind of meticulous persistence that only someone who's been underestimated their whole life can muster. The courtroom revealed shocking truths. The mayor had assumed John was dead and used that assumption as a reason to allow construction on the land. He had colluded with an out-of-state developer in exchange for hefty kickbacks. The homes were pre-sold to unsuspecting families, meaning the developer couldn't legally back out without incurring even more financial disaster. John's lawyer painted a damning picture of greed, betrayal, and systemic corruption. With evidence meticulously collected, the case dismantled the mayor's credibility brick by brick, and the developer, bankrupt within months, unable to finish a single home without facing a tsunami of lawsuits. Throughout this, you could almost feel John's inner fury. But it wasn't chaotic rage, it was methodical. Every decision, every legal filing, every objection was precise, calculated, designed to ensure that justice wasn't just served. It was unavoidable. G always remembered the stories of John pacing late at night, staring at the ceiling, thoughts spinning like gears. He didn't sleep much. He didn't eat much. He lived for one goal: to reclaim what was stolen and make the pursuers greedy pay dot. And then, after 7 long years, victory. The mayor was sentenced to 8 years in prison. The developer went bankrupt. John was awarded $45,000 in damages, a sum that, adjusted for today, would be over $750,000. And perhaps the sweetest revenge of all, the farm had to be restored to its original condition. Every tree, every acre, every inch of land returned to its rightful state. The moment John walked back onto the land that had been stolen from him, saw the trees standing where they had always stood, and knew the mayor and developer had been held accountable, G remembered him saying simply, with a breath of disbelief and satisfaction, "I told them not to mess with the wrong guy." Today, John's tree farm is a nature reserve, a lasting testament to the perseverance of one man against greed and corruption. The town remembers him fondly, even if the scandal of the mayor is mostly forgotten. John passed away in 1999, having lived long enough to see justice done and the land he loved preserved for future generations. G would return to the town often, visiting John's grave and wandering the old tree farm. And each time, he said it, felt like walking through history, a story of patience, courage, and the sweet satisfaction of seeing evil undone. What makes this story so compelling isn't just the revenge. It's the principle. Being underestimated, betrayed, or wronged doesn't mean you're powerless. It means you have a story worth telling. And if you play your cards right, a chance to reclaim everything that was taken from you. If this story gave you chills, hit that like button and share it with someone who loves a good tale of justice. Subscribe for more incredible stories where cleverness, persistence, and righteous anger turn the tables on the greedy. And tell me in the comments, what's the most satisfying revenge you've ever witnessed? Let's see who's got the best story.